Hello, welcome to the HoneyBee Hotline. Here I discuss all things honeybee related, from the sweet golden honey itself to candle making, beekeeping, European varieties, and even killer bees. Who am I? I'm the New Mexico bee lady, Christina Mann. I've been a beekeeper for 26 years, and I'm going to tell it like it is, because the truth is that honeybees are a venomous insect and they are not native to the Americas. Further, the Africanized honeybee was an experiment gone wrong in 1956, and it gave us the curse rightly known as killer bees. So, are you ready? Let's get started. Hello there. This is the Bee Lady on the HoneyBee Hotline, and this is a general wrap-up for 2024, but I wanted to talk about KCCC, AM 930, and Southeast New Mexico Community College, and what a blessing they are. I tell you, they do this broadcasting and community forum for the benefit of the community. It's amazing. Our community is wonderful. As far as I'm concerned, I've never seen another community so close-knit and cohesive as Carlsbad, Eddy County. But anyway, the last HoneyBee Hotline, Johnny Chandler interviewed me about the fatality on August 2nd, the killer bee death of a man. 3 men were hospitalized in Lee County, but still our areas, out in the oil field, and one of the men died. That was a killer bee attack, and the company that forced these 3 men to quote-unquote remove the bee colony, they knew about the problem early this spring, and they had called around. They were trying to get beekeepers to come out and remove it for nothing, I talked to a representative for the company, and I said, well, you want me to come all the way up there on my dime, my gas money, my time, my materials? How am I going to get paid? And he was kind of a smart ass. He goes, well, that's up to you. And I said, you need to contact a licensed pest control company and pay them to remove it safely. They ignored my advice, and it was a tragedy that happened. 1 man died. The other 2 men, I'm sure that they will never go near a bee colony again, and rightfully so. They were put in jeopardy, and they shouldn't have been. So when Johnny Chandler interviewed me about that, it was heard throughout the community. And I just can't give Radio KCCC enough credit for getting the word out that killer bees are here and they're not safe. So a company contacted me, and I did a removal on October 28th, just outside of Loving. This is an equipment company, a large equipment company. They had heard the broadcast, and I talked to the owner's son, and they had this honeybee colony underneath the Connex steel shipping container for over 2 years. They knew about it, and they would see these bees flying out at the end of the trailer, and guys would go over there and with can of Raid and try and spray them, and they'd get stung. Well, it was getting bad, it was getting worse. Um, the no fly zone. The area of where people were getting stung. It was getting larger. The men couldn't go anywhere near that trailer, and they were considering. The owner was considering lifting that trailer up and using a pressure washer, thinking that the scalding water would destroy the bees underneath there. That'll work, right? Not so much. So when the owner's son contacted me, I said I'd come out there and take care of it, and we made a contract. And I came out there on Monday, October 28th. I brought 2 bee suits, a larger one for Luis, the forklift operator, and a little guy named Arturo. I fitted them in with the bee suits, and I duct taped like around their gloves, so the bees don't get in. I'm telling you, these killer bees, they seek out skin to sting you, and they can sense the CO2 exhalation from your skin, and especially in your breath. They will target your face. They go for the skin, and they crawl, under your suit, up your pants. They just want to kill you. So I suited up Arturo and Luis, and then I stopped and I prayed with the men. Neither one of them spoke English, but, they knew what we were doing. So Luis got in his forklift, and this is a really huge forklift. The tires are like 6 feet tall, and he went around behind and he shoved that huge steel container out of the way, and he lifted it up, and immediately it was a cloud of bees, black, malevolent cloud. And I had him lift it up as high as he could get it. And the owner and his son were watching 50 feet away from the equipment shed through the windows, and the bees were attacking the windows, trying to get at them. Arturo, he fled. He was hiding behind the building 100 yards away, and Luis was just there working the tractor safe in the cab of the forklift. And I got under there and I started vacuuming first. I've got a special bee vac, and I see the bees crawling across the comb. There were 4 large sections of comb. It was molded to the underside of this shipping container. It's like 4 feet by 3 feet, 4 sections, and that hive had to have been there over 5 years. You could see the furthest back, the comb was all dark, and it eventually it turns into just cellulose. There's more cellulose than wax, and they abandoned that as they were moving forward. But I got under there, and I was on a tarp, and I was vacuuming the bees off of there, and they were angry. They were 100% killer bees. I was stung several times. They sting through the gloves, through the suit. I call it drive-by stings because they can't get their stinger past the barbs, so it doesn't rip out their abdomen and pump their poison gland, but it still hurts, And the instant I vacuumed up the queen, I knew it. It was just like a switch was flipped. And then all of a sudden the bees were flying, still flying, but they weren't actively attacking. in the bottom of my vacuum, I had soapy water, Dawn dish soap. So the minute they were sucked up, they were being killed in the soapy water. So I had 2 big totes, and I was cutting comb as close to the steel underside as I could, and ripping out huge sections of comb, filling up these totes, and working away. And the steel shipping, the as I'm working away up over my head, and there's honey dripping down my arms and down my face, through my mesh and my suit, and this steel shipping container, the ceiling is getting closer to me, and it's starting to come down on me, and I'm thinking, man, I'm going to be squished under here. So I had to flatten on my back and turn my hard hat sideways to scooch out from under there. And I looked at Luis in the forklift, and the left front tire of the forklift had gone flat. So it was sitting on the rim, it's still a lot of room, but that whole crate could have fallen off the forks or something. And I just tapping on the cab of his forklift, and he was busy playing with his cell phone. And I tried to tell him, you got to raise it up. The tire is flat. So I went and I found Arturo hiding way over on the other end of the yard. And I tried to tell him, I want some blocks under the rim of this shipping container. And he got out Google Translate, and he translated that. So I went back and I asked Luis to please keep the container up higher, kind of pantomimed, because my Spanish sucks and his English was non-existent. Crawl back up under there and I start working away again, Not really having to vacuum that much bees right then, because I'd already vacuumed several pounds of them up, but just pulling out the comb, putting it in the boxes, and moving on, working away. And then Arturo appears, and he had these 2 sections of I-beam, steel I-beam, and he put those under there, and I was really grateful to see that. It means I wouldn't get squished. So, yeah, I was there for 3 hours working away, and then all the honeycomb was gone. The bees were much reduced, and I was just covered from head to foot in dirt and honey. And Arturo helped me put those 2 heavy totes in my truck, and then I asked for my bee suit back. We're on the other side of the yard now, and first he went and he got a big plastic bag, and he wanted some honeycomb, so I opened the cooler, which had the best honey, and I picked out a big section of capped comb and gave it to him, and then he gave me my suit back. That was 3 hours, and that probably saved someone's life. If they had gone at that colony with just a pressure washer, there were 30,000 bees there, folks. It was amazing. And I asked the men inside if they had filmed any of it, and they said, "Oh, no. They were hiding. They were hiding inside the building because the bees had been pelting the window trying to get at them." So, yeah, that was a happy ending. And it really makes me feel good to do a job like that and they did pay me what I should have been paid. They paid me $500 cash for it, but no one got hurt other than me. It was my 21st job of the year, and coincidentally, I got 21 stings, but none of the other men got stung. And I was able to process some of that comb as gifts for my friends and my loved ones, If the comb is sealed, if it's capped, and the honey is mature, you can reuse it. You got to carefully strain it through cheesecloth, and be it's a food. You got to be very conscious about handling it correctly. But I'm still rendering a lot of the old comb for wax to make candles with, and the honey in the bottom of the tote. I still got one tote left with about 4 inches of honey and comb in the bottom of it. And I'm pasteurizing that honey and feeding it to my bees. They can use it. They love it better than the sugar syrup. So that was a good outcome after the tragedy on August 2nd. And I owe it all to programs like this, That Saturday I went by and saw some friends, and I stopped at La Patrona to see my friend. She been through some hard times, and she doesn't speak English very well either, and I don't speak Spanish very well. But it was good to see her, and I only had $20 in my pocket, but I asked her for 4 tamales, and I handed her my money, and she gave me my change, and we hugged and we talked, and just I happened to have a jar of honey in my truck, so I gave it to her. And then later on, I looked at my change, and I had 4 5s. She had given me the tamales for free, and that's just the spirit of Carlsbad. I love it. I really do. There's no place else I'd rather be. And in helping the community, we all help each other. So Merry Christmas, and be careful of those killer bees. February, March, they'll be back out. All right? This is a bee lady. I love you guys.